Shopping, spending all my cash. Shouldn't be out with your friends, talking all that trash. You ain't built for comfort, sure ain't built for speed. Come on down to my place and I will show you where you should be. Between the sheets and under the covers where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, making sweet love to me. Between the sheets and under the covers where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, baby, just you and me. Shouldn't be in honky-tonk, dancing your life away. Shouldn't hang out with the band till the break of day. Don't tell your man you're such a good girl when you don't really know. Now come on down to my place and I will show you where you should go. Between the sheets and under the covers where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, making sweet love to me. Between the sheets and under the covers where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, baby, just you and me. Between the sheets and under the covers is where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, making sweet love to me. Between the sheets and under the covers is where you ought to be. Between the sheets and under the covers, baby, just you and me. Between the sheets and under the covers.
No rhyme or reason, my friends, for why it does what it does, but I do what I do. And how's everybody doing today? Here we are, live from Santa Monica, California. That's right, everybody. I forgot my water. Okay, we're going to kick the show off with this. Anthony Cumia talking about gambling, and then I'm going to give you an update to my. I played poker on Thursday, and I have. That was the first time I played in a couple of years. I mean, I wasn't playing really much before lockdown because I was so focused on my career and decided I would only be a recreational poker player from now on, that I would no longer be a semi-pro. I would just enjoy the game, study it when I felt like it, play when I felt like it, and not really worry about, making a living off of it or even making any money off of it. Just wanted to make it be a recreational player. A guy that used to be serious, and let me change this light a little bit, and now it's just recreational. But hey, what's up, Dub Style? I'm glad you're here because you're the only one here, I think, that gives a fuck about poker. So I wanted you to be here for the trip report. I'll tell you all about what happened. It was an interesting night. So I went to the Commerce Casino, and I got there at about, between 11:30 and midnight or so. And I will tell you all about the experience. But first, we're going to listen to Anthony Cumia talking about gambling. And I want to comment. I haven't seen this yet. I just see Anthony Cumia talking about gambling advice. So from Mama Guinness, I guess Gavin McGinnis's mom. So I'm curious what this is. Let's hear it. And then we'll discuss, and I'll give you my trip report from the Commerce Casino.
For everybody going to Vegas, this is gonna be crazy. Join me and all my friends at the blackjack table. Christ, I hope I have a winning outing. You know what the worst part is? I still have a lot of money from the house sale.
Uh-oh.
Maybe I should put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? I'm like, well, I can't. I lost it all.
No, please don't do it.
I couldn't do that.
It's a Scotsman's worst nightmare.
Dude, think about it. I put it all on black.
It physically
roulette
hurts
table.
Me. No, I
Ding,
can't.
ding, no more bets, please. No more bets. No more bets. And it's just going. And there's all that money just on black. And it goes, tick, tick.
Really, Dub? You don't like these two guys? You don't like Anthony? You think they're bigots? Do you really? I don't think they are.
Tick, 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 tick. Red. And there's nothing you could do about it. You're like, you just walk away. There's nothing. And then you jump out the window.
Please.
Well, you don't play roulette is what you do.
Pre-agree to a reasonable ceiling and don't go past that.
All right.
If you're going to play roulette, you should be shit-faced drunk, incapable of doing anything else, and you should be doing it strictly as a lark for fun to be a degenerate. But to lose a lot of money on roulette, gay. It's not even it's barely a man's game. You could play it if you're a man, if you're fucking out of your gourd and you can't stand up well enough to throw dice. But, all right.
Mom. Jesus, when Gavin McGinnis is giving me fucking life advice.
Scrooge McDuck.
I love it.
And I was getting water, so I missed the very beginning. Let me back this up.
This is going to be crazy.
They're doing a trip to Vegas, I guess?
Join me and all my friends at the blackjack table.
I want to do that.
Christ, I hope I have a winning outing. You know what the worst part is? I still have a lot of money from the house sale.
Uh-oh.
Maybe I should put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I missed. Because I couldn't hear it when I was getting my water. So he sold his house, has a bunch of extra money. And he's like, maybe I should hide it from myself so I don't blow it on roulette.
Could you imagine? I'm like, well, I can't. I lost it all.
No, please don't do it.
When Gavin McGinnis is worried about your behavior. All right, let's talk gambling. Let me spark this up. I'm just glad you're here, Dub Style, because this story is mainly for you. I need somebody that could appreciate it. All right, so for those of you that don't know, the Commerce Casino is the world's largest card room. Legendary card room. It's not the nicest of the card rooms in my area. The Hollywood Park, next to where the Rams play, that's the what do we call it? The SoFi Center, our stadium. It's Hollywood Park used to have a horse track. Gavin McInnes, 10 Things I Hate About Jews. That's pretty cut and dry. I've never heard that. What is that? Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Gavin McInnes, 10 Things Jews. Let's see. Where's the 10 Things I Hate About Jews? Let's see. Here, you got me distracted, but I'll bite. What is this?
Hello, folks. I am back in the West. I just returned from the East.
This video is titled "What Gavin McInnes Really Thinks About Jews."
From Israel. And while I was on the plane, I had a Justine Sacco moment, apparently. I landed here. It was, remember, Wait Till She Lands? And she said...
I don't really have a strong... I mean, I don't know. I find him entertaining, but I don't know anything about... Look, I don't know anything.
I'm going to Africa, hoping I don't get AIDS. I landed, and I got tons of Nazi friends. David Duke and all the Nazis think I totally rock. No offense, Nazis. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I don't like you. I like Jews. This all started because a clip from my show, the Gavin McInnes Show on the Compound Media, was taken out of context. A clip wherein I say, don't take this out of context. And it was my first day on this fact-finding mission, not funded by the Israeli government, by the way, funded by contributors to Rebel Media, who paid for us to go there because they wanted us to learn facts. And in the clip, I was talking about the Holocaust Museum. And I was saying a lot of different things. One of them I was saying is, I don't like dwelling on genocide. China moved on. Russia moved on. Move on. But then I was also saying, if you are going to dwell, can you just talk about what the Nazis say and refute their points? Their points are, the Treaty of Versailles was done by Jews. It wasn't. Holodomor was made by Jews. It wasn't. That was Stalin.
We already covered this, Zach. He has the Nazi lightning bolts tattoo. Does he? Really? We talked about this already? Fuck. I got to smoke more weed.
The ex-Christian.
That's what's great about being a pothead. Every show is like brand new. I could do the same topic every day. Be like, really? We talked about this?
Atheist. So I want to. That would have been more interesting to me. Is what I was trying to convey.
I feel like
in
my hair's
long
looking good.
2-hour show where I sit there and rant, and I am hereby betraying my new Nazi fans and saying, sorry guys, I'm not into it. I think it's pretty clear where I stand on Israel. Where I stand on Israel is.
I mean, I don't know. He's saying that he doesn't like Nazis. I'm so confused. Did he used to be a Nazi? Are you sure about the tattoo? Are you sure what the tattoo meant? Is he a former Nazi? Is he a guy that used to be into the whole Nazi thing and then got educated, went to one of those camps? Thank you, Dub. Appreciate that.
I don't like their capitulation. I don't like.
Go to a re-education camp, where he could concentrate about what he did. Like, hey, man, you hate Jews. We got to send you to this place. And through a lot of concentration at this camp, you won't hate Jews anymore.
Their constant apology.
Why are they called concentration camps? Concentration camp sounds like an awesome camp. It sounds like when you're a kid, honey, I know you love the game concentration. How would you like to do nothing but play concentration all summer long? What do you mean, Mom? Well, they have baseball camp and football camp. Would you like to go to concentration camp where every day all you do is play concentration? Yeah, I do. Yay, concentration camp. And if you're good and you do well at concentration camp next year, you can go to Uno camp and Scrabble camp, Gin Rummy camp. What do we think? Is there anything there, Dub Style, or is there a joke there at all? I wish Lizzie was here. I feel like she's got a better opinion on comedy than you. But I trust your opinion on comedy. But I feel like there's something there. It's like, what if I set it up this way? When I was a little kid, I wasn't really that athletic. And my parents, they sent me to baseball camp where every day all we did was play baseball. But, I preferred card games. I loved Uno, Go Fish, concentration. I'd love to, go somewhere where every day all I did was play concentration. I was like, Mom, Dad, I don't want to go to baseball camp. I want to go to concentration camp. How about that, dub style? How's that? A little bit of a long setup. Got to get the setup shorter, I think. All right, let me make a note. I think there's something there. Just, you think every joke about, concentration camps has already been made. So I don't know. I hope no one's come up with that already. Concentration. Truth was, I was actually a good baseball player. And it was the one sport I actually was pretty good at. And I went to Ron Frazier's baseball camp at the University of Miami. I loved it, man. Baseball camp was fun, man. Because I loved to play baseball, and that's what we fucking did all day. Just played baseball. All right. He's one of those oi, oi, oi punk bands in the 80s. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's right. I forget what his band was. I knew he was in a punk band. He was in that circle of guys like Black Flag and I'm having a fucking brain fart right now. That's not my area of expertise with music. I like some of that punk shit. I like the classic punk stuff, Ramones, Sex Pistols. I
don't like they're constantly explaining the wall or talking about the borders of 67 and 48 and all that. It's like someone in Quebec going, let me explain. The Jesuits came here first, then we had to send the soldiers. Quebecois don't do that. They go, this is Quebec, esti, and you better like it or not, you can get the fuck out. Lo. I wish...
You don't think it's possible he had Nazi tendencies, or maybe he just had Nazi style? I mean, if we're going to be honest, those Nazis... They really fucked. We lost some good color schemes and symbols from them. The lightning bolts were pretty badass. The swastika is super cool. The kind of like red and black kind of color scheme, like Joey Ramone, Jew. That's right. What wasn't that in the Hanukkah song with Adam Sandler? I think he mentions Joey Ramone's a Jew.
The Israelis would do that more, and I wish the Israelis would embrace...
I like the Ramones because they were punk but fun. You know, the idea of going to a punk concert where people in the audience are spitting at the band, I mean, it's pretty fucking gross. You hear some of these stories about guys that were in punk bands during that time, and it was like, that was the thing to do, was to spit on the performer. It was like the beats had snapping your fingers, and these guys had getting spit on. That upsets me, by the way, that a lot of woke people have taken the snapping. That was a beat generation thing to snap, and it was cool. Now it's like we snap because clapping is triggering. Taking all my favorite shit away.
Christianity and Trump more. Love your wall, love Trump's wall. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right now, radical Islam is extinguishing Christians just because of their religion, and it's constantly attacking Jews. Let's unite there. It's very clear where I stand, and I'd appreciate it if you would check out my other 10 or so videos I did at rebelisrael.com. I like you more than a friend.
Well, I don't know. I don't believe... I don't really believe these guys are bigoted. Anthony Cumia and Gavin McGinnis. I'm not buying that. But, okay, so back to... We got all sidetracked. Back to my poker story. So, a few years back, 3-4 years ago, I've lost... I guess it was about 4 years ago, I guess. It was about 2 years... It was about 2 years before COVID hit, where... I've talked about this a lot, and I'm just going to say it again because, you know, Tom Leykis gives out a lot of great advice, and one of his pieces of advice that I just never paid good attention to was the advice to focus. He tells a story about writing to different people when he was younger and asking for advice, and this one guy wrote back a one-word answer, which was focus. And he was just trying to do too many things, spreading himself too thin. I ignored that advice, even though I would hear Tom talk about this all the time. I didn't think it applied to me. Then I realized, and the reason I wasn't focused on comedy and magic the way I should have been was because of fear. So I would make up all kinds of reasons for not doing things, but I realized, no, those are all excuses. I'm just scared. And bravery isn't not being scared. It's being scared and doing it anyway. So I just decided, all right, I'm putting everything away. What's up, Rudy? La da. So I put everything away. I'm like, I got to put the internet marketing away. I got 30 different side hustles going. I'm going to get rid of everything. Stop being a little pussy. Focus on my main career. And I've told this story many times. Like I said, I'm reiterating it because it was a pivotal point in my life. And I immediately, my life got 10 times better. It was like I would wake up and all I did was focus on comedy and magic. That was it. And it was like magic itself. Started getting more gigs. Like gigs were just fucking appearing from places. Good gigs too. And I was becoming a better performer and I was gaining confidence and the anxiety was actually going away. Tom Leykis is not a Jew. That's funny. I think Tom Leykis has a relative that's a Jew, so maybe he's a little bit of a Jew. That's funny. But my anxiety, that all of the fear I had that it prevented the focus started going away. Tom is not a Jew. I know Tom very well. I think he might be part Jew. I think I'm more Jew than him. I think he might have a grandfather that was Jewish. I can't remember now. I have to ask him. I'm going to see him in November, so a couple of months from now for Thanksgiving. Sorry, my nose. That's what I just said, his grandfather. There's a delay there, so you and I said the same thing. Yeah, I think you're right. But that doesn't. Does that make him a Jew? Anyway, I'm all over the place. The weed kicked in. This is my first time smoking today, and there's a lot going on. So what was I talking? And I think I got to take a leak in a second. Which doesn't usually happen during the show. Once in a while. How the fuck are we on the Jew thing? We're all over the place. Hey, Rudy, you got here late, so I want to try a joke on you. Dub Style says there's potential. In the eyes of Hitler, Jew. You know, Dub, that's sort of a joke. I actually, I've been saying this for a million years, never on stage, but someone will say like, well, you know, are you a Jew? And I'll say, listen, I'm not like into organized religion. I never had a bar mitzvah. I said, let's just put it this way. I don't really think of myself as a Jew, but I'd have trouble talking my way out of it if they start putting us on trains again. It's going to be a tough sell. You know, it's kind of like Obama's not 100% black. But he's black, right? And even though my mom wasn't a Jew, she did convert when she married my dad. But by the time I was older, she wasn't really into Judaism. She became a universalist. And that's what my mom told me I was when I was a kid. When I said, what am I? She said, you tell people that you're a universalist, and it means you're going to be a student of the world's religions and philosophies, and your ideology could change from moment to moment as new information comes to life or as your opinions change. So my mom always emphasized being really open-minded and being willing to change my opinion. That's all she cared about. I think I was born that way anyway. I don't know how much of that was instilled in me because of her. But when I took the Big Five personality test, I was off the charts on open-mindedness. I was like 98 or 99. My mother, no, she wasn't a thespian. She didn't do any kind of performing at all. My mom was old school, like a housewife. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. And my dad worked and my mom stayed home with us. Old school. I kind of grew up in an old school household because my dad, he was, a lot, he was older when they had me. I forget how old he would have been. I'd have to figure it out. I figured it out once. I can't remember anymore, though. It's like he was in his 40s, though, when they had me. And she was younger than him by, I think, 4 years, I think. Not positive, but I believe so. So, 4 or 5 years. What was I babbling about? But, to your point, Dub Style. Yeah, I'm a Jew when it's convenient. Yeah, me too. Whenever I'm making anti-Semitic jokes, I'm a Jew. But just like you said, hey, I just noticed my T-shirt and my logo go great together. Look at the color scheme I got going on today. If Lorne Michaels is interviewing for SNL, or am I Jewish? Fuck yeah, I'm Jewish. I'm a super Jew. No, exactly. I'm Jewish when it's convenient. I am not a thespian. I like lesbians, but I'm no thespian. I'm not into acting. Does thespian have some other meaning besides actor that I don't know? Now, here's the point is, yeah, my dad's Jewish. My mom was, I think, raised Protestant, converted when she married my dad. Some of my brothers and sisters had bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. Others of us did not. I'm not a fan of organized religion. However, if I'm listening to something like, I'm on a big spiritual path, even though I don't like organized religion, and that's pretty much what my mom's deal was too. All right, so going back to the gambling story, the poker story. So I go to jiu-jitsu on Thursday. Oh, that's another thing. I've made a decision. No, just a funny word. A cousin to lesbian, if you may. Yes, exactly, Rudy. Fucking Rudy. Just dropped my joint on the floor. Damn it. Hate that. Got ashes all over the floor now. Hate that. I'm going to digress again before I tell you the poker story. This poker story is probably only going to be entertaining to Dub Style because he's the only poker player here. But how often do you get to play, Dub? And do you play much? Do you still like to play? Or you ever you play online? You play live? What is your current level of play? Like when I say level, I mean like how often and where? How many, a lot of hours you play, a couple hours, a month, you play a couple hours a day, I really do miss online poker. I prefer to play live over online, but I like the option of online. I like to be able to just turn the computer on and play, especially like the low stakes shit, quarter, 50 cents. It's fun, man. It's like, online, the level of play is so much higher than it is live. Low stakes are very competitive games. And it gives you a chance to be have a lot of fun and really get better at your game and you're caring about the pots, even though it's like, quarter 50 cents or whatever. So I got to tell you something. I think people from the East Coast, I think it's instilled in you to be on time. As a matter of fact, you're supposed to be early for everything. And when I moved to California and I booked a gig somewhere, I would arrive 45 minutes early and park a block away to make sure I knew where the place was. So I'm like, I know exactly where it is. I'm not lost or anything like that. I got plenty of time to get there. And just sit, in the gas station and read a book or something. This is before even smartphones, This is like when I first moved here. And I was like, I'd rather just have the peace of mind, right? The thing is about Los Angeles, I don't know if all of California is like this, but people in Los Angeles are constantly late. It's just the way it is. They're late all the fucking time for everything. The traffic is a big factor, but the reason I would get to my gigs 45 minutes early is because I knew the traffic was horrible. I'm like, this should take an hour, I'll give myself 2. And then it would end up taking an hour and 15. And I'm like, okay, well, I have an extra 45 minutes. If things were horrible, maybe I was glad I had the whole 2 hours and I'm getting there 10 minutes ahead of time going, well, I'm still early. Good thing I gave myself an insane amount of time. That's the way I always did it. But, I'd get to gigs on, walk in the door, I'd be ready to perform on time, and they'd be like, our guests haven't started arriving yet. I know we said 7 to 8. But can we start the hour when our guests actually show up? Could you start at 7:30? So it's like I got there 45 minutes early, and then I walked in, set up, was ready to go on time, and now I'm waiting another 30 minutes, which usually, could even be, oftentimes was longer. So you play online now? Where are you playing again, Dub Style? America's Card Room? Tell me again where you like to play online. I think you turned me on to it, and then I could never make a deposit or something, so I gave up. And you like the... Oh, yeah, I got you. The cash, the collusion. I got a great story about Global Poker. I got a great story about... I don't know if it's a great story, but I have a story that it has little to do with collusion, but collusion played a role in it. So, I think what happened was after living here for 21 years, I just saw people being late so much, and I got tired of always waiting around for them. Little by little, I got assimilated into LA culture. And the next thing you know, I'm walking into gigs right on time. Like barely making it. Super stressed out about it, And then I would see, Rudy, you play cards? I didn't know you played poker. And then I would see, I would always get to jiu-jitsu early. And more, people would be late all the time. And, I've been going to jiu-jitsu 14 years. And I don't know how it started, but at some point, for some reason, I just started showing up late all the time. And then I'd show up late, and then my friends, they'd be later than me. I'm like, well, I'm not even the latest one. So, it's like I'm late, but I'm not the latest. So I guess I'm doing okay, right? Like when I was in I don't know, I think high school, I was probably a freshman or something, maybe a sophomore. I can't remember. A friend of mine, Dana, he was an old family friend. He was quite a bit older than me, but he was a cool dude. And I haven't talked to him in years. And he looked at my report card and he was like, this is fucking awful. I'm like, yeah, compared to my buddies, my grades are way better. He's like, oh, so you're just going to compare yourself to shit? I'm like, what? He's like, that's your standard? Is your fucking friends who are barely passing, your standard is that? Okay, I guess if you're going to compare yourself to shit, why don't you compare yourself to something, good? And, why don't you raise your standards? So it was like, so I guess the same thing. It's like, yeah, my friends are later than me. But I'm comparing myself to people who are late. It's like, hey, it's not so bad I'm late because I'm not the latest. Hello, Lizzie.
The wheel in the sky keeps on turning.
And so, welcome to the show. Oh, now that you're here, and Rudy, I got a new joke that Dub Style approved. And I want to run it by you guys. I still got to work on the setup, but I think it's pretty good. So I'll deliver that in a moment. So anyway, on Thursday night, I go to jiu-jitsu. And Eddie says hi to me like he always does. Gives me a fist bump. And he says to me, goes, what time do you get off work? I went, what are you talking about? He's like, at your job. What time do you get off? I'm like, I don't have a fucking job. What are you talking about, job? And I'm thinking, you've known me 14 years. You don't know that I don't have a job? Like, maybe he was being sarcastic. I think, in retrospect, I think he was being sarcastic. Because I was like, I'm mostly offended that you think I have a job. I told this to Sheila, and Sheila was like, do you look down on people with jobs? I'm like, of course I don't look down on people with jobs. I look down on myself for having one. You know what I mean? It's like I've built this whole career. Anyway, it's hard to explain, but it's not that I look down on people that have jobs. It's like I'm a fucking pretty goddamn popular entertainer, Eddie. And I think he knows that. That's why I think he was just fucking with me. He's like joking, like, and I go, I don't have a job. And he goes, so why are you always late? And I go, because I'm a fuck up. He's like, oh. I said, yeah, there's no reason. I'm just a fuck up. He's like, okay. And here's the funny thing about Eddie is he manages to create big change in me with very little effort. When I was getting my blue belt, I got my blue belt, and I bought a blue belt rash guard, and Eddie brought it to class for me, right? You order it on the website, you pay for it, and then Eddie brings it into class and hands it to you. It's the way we do it. No reason for him to mail it to you. He's right there. So I order a blue belt rash guard, size large. Eddie goes, hey, man, congratulations. Gives me the rash guard. I go, oh, I'm sorry, man. This is a medium. I order the large. And he basically pokes me in the belly and says, fit into a medium. You look like a schlub. That's all it took. Once he said that, I started eating right, started working out in addition to jiu-jitsu. I got fucking shredded. And I brought it up once, and Eddie's like, I said that? I'm like, he's like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm like, no, bro. For me, it's the perfect thing. Don't you? That's what I'm saying. Because he's like, dude, he's like, you're pretty shredded. I'm like, well, you told me to get shredded. He's like, I did? I said, well, you told me to fit into my rash guard, and you called me a schlub. And I was like, but I'm not offended. That's what I needed to hear. I needed to be poked in the gut and called a schlub. So on Thursday night, he goes, what time you get off your job? What fucking job? Then why are you always so late? Okay. Fucking okay. I get it. I'm not going to be late anymore. And not just for jiu-jitsu. I work every Friday night I've been at this bar for like 17, 18 years. I've been performing at a bar and restaurant in Santa Monica called Busby's West. And I work 6 to 7:30, happy hour, an hour and a half of walking around the bar and the tables and doing close-up magic. So I'm always fucking late to this place. Now, they don't care if I work 7 to 8:30. Sometimes I got a gig, and I'll say, hey, man, I got a gig. I'm going to come in later, or can I come in earlier? Can I do like 5:30 to 7? Is that cool? Like, how early can I come in? Because I got this other show to do. So, but generally speaking, I could get there at 6 o'clock. The place is right down the street from me. I could ride my fucking bike there. I'm late every fucking Friday. This last Friday, I got there at 7 o'clock. Just worked to 8:30. But it's like I could have been off at 7:30. And so after Eddie said that, I'm like, all right, I get it. He called me out. I'm done. So I am putting my foot down. I am not going to be late anymore. It's funny because all of us guys that are late, I think every one of us, me and all the other guys that are late with me or coming in after me that are even later than me, I'm pretty sure without exception, we're all brown belts. It's like we're like all horrible examples for the other belt. It's like, those 6 brown belts are always fucking late. So I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not fucking doing it. I will be so okay. So after I go to so that happened on Thursday night. Go to jiu-jitsu, and it bothered me the whole class. So I mean, I'm telling you, it takes very little effort. You know what it is? I've mostly, when I was growing up, I was mostly ignored my whole life. I was like, I told you, I came from a huge family, and I was kind of lost in the shuffle. A lot of shit happened, and I just, I kind of was never paid attention to, right? So I would say that when Eddie does give me attention, I'm like, if I'm going to do a little self-analysis here, I'm just thinking what happens. I'm like, why does it affect me so much? I'm like, it's because you never got any attention growing up. And so if Eddie takes 10 seconds and gives you a little attention, it has a big effect on you. So after jiu-jitsu, I decide I'm going to go to the Commerce Casino. Now, the thing is, I have studied poker more in the last couple of years probably than I ever have, but I haven't played at all. There was the lockdown, then I didn't want to play with a mask on. I still don't like playing with a mask on, but I did it. I might even stick to shorter sessions and be like, if I'm only going to play 2 or 3 hour sessions, then the mask is not that big of a deal. I was told to go play on the freeway. Let me do the joke real quick. You kind of reminded me. So Lizzie, Rudy, check this out. And remember the idea. And I forgot. You guys, I totally forgot. I'm supposed to have a goal of 1 brand new joke a day for 60 seconds of new material. So that's 1 minute of new material a week. If I can come up with minimum 1 joke a day on the cast. So I think this is the one. All right. Lizzie, Rudy. I wasn't really an athletic kid growing up, but my parents sent me to baseball camp. And all we did all day was play baseball. It was miserable for a kid like me because I like games like Uno and gin rummy and concentration. It's like, why couldn't my parents have sent me to a concentration camp? I think the setup was good there, Dub Style. What do you think? It was even more concise than last time because I told you I needed to get that setup down shorter. I got to run this by Jimmy Schubert. I think that's a good fucking joke. I loved card games, Uno, gin rummy, concentration. Why couldn't they send me to a camp for, like concentration camp. Yeah, I don't have to explain it. You get it. That was a very Jewy joke. All right, it's so cool. Jimmy Schubert is definitely not a Jew, dub style. He's as Catholic gets, brah. I need my yarmulke revoked. All right, so I leave jiu-jitsu and I head over to the Commerce Casino for the first time in 2 years. And, there's a real big difference between studying something and doing something, obviously, right? You can read all you want about how to throw a punch or a kick, but you actually need to do it and probably get instruction and help on the finer points of it, and it takes actually doing it to improve at it. Well, poker is no different. Some poker players, all they do is play and they never study. But you should really be balancing how much you're studying the game and playing it. You hear different ratios, but oftentimes like an 80-20 rule, 80% of the time playing, 20% of the time studying. And but I've been 100% studying since before the lockdown. Like I said, I focused on my career and was like, I'm sure I'll play recreationally at some point, but I'm just enjoying studying it and focusing on my career. It was like, I'd watch some coaching videos or some shit at night before I went to bed or whatever, just as a fun thing. Read some poker books or whatever. Listen to a podcast, watch a tournament, watch Live at the Bike, whatever it was. So it was pretty crazy when I sat down at the table how insanely rusty I was in terms of actually playing the game. And it was almost like I've learned so much from studying that I was almost overwhelmed with information. It was like my brother and I were talking about how it's a good idea to do a little reading, understand a new concept, and the next time you play, try to apply that one concept. I did the opposite. I was like, my head was swimming. I was surprisingly comfortable. There was no anxiety. And I will tell you that, well, let's see. Where do I start? Well, let's start at the beginning. First thing is I walk into Commerce and it feels kind of dystopian. First time I love the Commerce Casino, and it's a huge card room. Like I said, largest poker room in the world. And it just felt like the wind had been taken out of the place's sails. But there was lots of action going. The game I play, just my game alone, there was 8 games going. So I play the 300 no limit, and what that means is the minimum buy-in is 300, maximum buy-in is 500. The small blind and big blind are both $5 a piece. I bought in for the maximum of $500, sat right down. One of the guys at the table I've known for a million years. He's a kind of a criminal piece of shit. I think he's a pickpocket. I forget who he ripped off, but the guy's a scumbag. I was happy he was on the complete opposite side of the table from me. My nose tonight. No, I'm not doing blow before you're like, yeah, a lot of sniffles. So, I am fidgety though. I will be honest. It's not even my nose. I'm just kind of, I'm a fidget. Hold on a second. Drink some water. I'm having a Jim Norton spaz out session. Jim Norton and I both have similar tics, but I've managed to eliminate most of mine. So, Hold on. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I had a mess going over there. So I sit at the table, and I'm under the gun. The very first hand I'm dealt, pocket kings. Second best hand I could be dealt. I make a standard raise for that game is $20 to $25. I raised $25. I don't remember how many callers I got. I believe it was quite a few. I believe I had about 3 callers, if memory serves me correct. So let's say there's $100 in the pot. The flop comes ace high, rainbow. So 3 different suits, couple of low cards, and an ace. I went ahead and put out I believe about a half pot size continuation bet. Everybody folded except for the guy on the button. We end up going heads up, and why do I feel like there was more money in there than that? I'm not By the way, I need to start using my memory techniques to remember hands, because I bet 75. Let's see, if there was 100 and I bet 75 and he called me, that's 250. Yeah, I get that. That might have been right. I think I may have, but I don't think I bet that big on the flop. I just feel like maybe there was another caller in there. Or maybe there was a 3-bet. I don't know. Here's the point. When we got to the turn, when he called, the bottom line is I had one caller who is the guy on the button on the flop, on this ace-high flop. And I'm thinking at this point he's got a weak ace. And if that was the case, I probably should have just gone ahead. The theme for this entire session of poker is that I played like a giant pussy and that I was rusty, because I should have bet for value, probably on the turn. I should have probably bet again, and had he raised me, I could have probably folded my kings. Depending on the size of the raise, I would have maybe called and hope to get a third king on the river. I'm starting to think that maybe I did bet the turn and he called me. You know what? I think that is what happened. I think I bet the flop, got one caller, bet the turn, he called again, and on the river I checked and he checked. And I think that is how I played it. And because I know that there was a point where, it must have been on the river, where I'm like, am I going to shove all in here to a guy? He called me on the flop and the turn with an ace there. I got to give up on barreling here. If I go all in and he calls me, I'm gonna have to leave. In other words, I only planned on buying in for $500 one time. So I'm like, I can't believe my very first hand I get pocket kings and that the flop comes ace high. And I'm in a situation where if I go all in and this guy calls me, that I could lose to a hand like, ace 5 or something. And I'm going to have to get up and leave. I literally would have driven to the casino, bought in for $500, lost the $500, and got up and left. I would have played one hand and left. I've never done that in my life. So I think in my head, I was like, I'm just going to check and hope that this guy, doesn't have an ace. And if he has a weak ace, that he checks it and I at least have like 250 left behind, because I remembered basically a pot. There was $250 in the pot, and I was like, I have a pot-sized bet left, and like, I don't want to go home. I'm going to fucking just hope he checks behind me, because, you know, I'm out of position. I was under the gun. He was on the button. So I checked and he checked, and I won the hand. You got to exercise pot control with kings on an ace-high board versus unknown villain most of the time. Yeah, I didn't think if he bet on the river, I guess I would have folded the kings. Sorry, I'm not doing a great job of recalling the hand, by the way, Dub Style. That's something I'm going to really work on tonight is, and I saw somebody, there's a forum called Art of Memory where people discuss memory techniques. And because there's people who compete in memory competitions. And somebody asked about how you would go about memorizing poker action. Like, because, you know, I think the best thing for me is what I usually do is I take my phone and I have the stencil here that pulls out, and I just quickly write in shorthand the action. I go, you know, I write down my stack size, my position, and then that's probably but I would like to increase my recall of hands. I play these hands and I'm like struggling to remember it. Anyway, it worked out. So I end up winning like I think about a $300 pot because there was some dead money in there. So, I bought in for $500 and I'm sitting now at like, I don't know. I think I had at that point maybe $750, $800, something like that. Here's the thing. On one hand, no pun intended, I was doing a lot of things that I wouldn't have done in the past that were winning me a lot of pots. So in one way, I was playing really well, but I'm just rusty. I'm just like, I didn't have the feel for the game, wasn't there, because I hadn't sat at a table for so long. I was amazed that I wasn't like, I don't really get anxious before, but me kind of excited though, and I didn't have that. I was really level. Anyway, so let me tell you what happens though. I end up a few hands later making like a semi-bluff on a draw. And the draw doesn't get there, and the person called me. And I flipped over my hand, and I thought I had nothing, but I actually had a straight with one of my cards, and I didn't see it. And someone next to me went, "Oh, wow, the way you threw those cards down, you kind of looked like you didn't have anything." And I didn't say anything. I just thought to myself, yeah, because I didn't think I had anything. I did. I turned them over like, fuck. Because I didn't realize I had a fucking straight. So that's an example of me just being a little like off kilter, like out of step. Another thing was last week, I was really fucking absent-minded last week. I started worrying, like, do I have COVID and the only symptom I have is the, brain fog? Because I did a bunch of absent-minded shit last week. Remember I told you I wasn't feeling that great? But I didn't feel horrible. I ended up not going to jiu-jitsu on Wednesday because I was like, I don't want to go if I have a fucking virus or something. Yeah, I think that's what happened, Dub. I think I had like 6, 7 of diamonds or something, and or like ace 7 of diamonds. Might have been that. I forget what it was, but only one of the cards played, and it made me a straight. And so the first thing that was one fuck up. Another fuck up was that my bet sizing was all fucked up. In the beginning, someone would raise and I was like picking some. You never want to really change your bet sizing. You want to have kind of like, I mean, you could change your bet for certain reasons, but a bad reason to change your bet is the strength of your hand. And another really bad reason to change your bet sizing is based on whether you want the person to call or fold. If you're going, I'm going to make this big bet because I'm trying to force them to, I'm trying to entice them to do something I want. Both of those things will fork your range, meaning people, you think they're retarded. They're not. They'll start to pick up that you're changing your bet sizing based on these things, and they'll exploit that. And so I was fucking up my bet sizing, not because of either one of those reasons, just because I was out of practice. I was like, how much should this be? Like I had like a brain fart. I'm like, I don't know, 4 times 3 all of a sudden. It's like I just was, again, like I said, I was having some serious brain fog last week. And it happened also the next night when I went to Busby's. I lost one of my magic tricks and I almost lost my phone. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with me? Like, I just can not, I didn't go play poker Friday because I'm like, my brain is too foggy. And I still am not feeling perfect. I ended up going to sleep and then waking up a couple hours later. So something, I don't know what it was, but I was off for some reason last week. And which actually was another mistake I made Thursday night playing cards. Because I'm always taking a self-inventory. Like, hey man, are you tilting? Are you angry? Are you bored? You frustrated? You tired? Like, how you feeling? Like, I check in with myself. And there was a point I was up about $450. And I remember it might have even been $475. It was between $450 and $475, somewhere in there. And remember, I bought in for $5, so I've almost doubled my buy-in. I sat down around midnight. It was probably at this point, I don't know, 1:30. Maybe I got there at 11:30. I'd probably played for 2 hours. No, man, this was different, Dub Style. I don't, put it this way. Right now, I don't have any brain fog at all. It was a different kind of thing. It was, I'm telling you, it wasn't my stonedness. And so I'm almost doubled my buy-in. I've only played an hour and a half to 2 hours, short time. I checked in with myself and I said, hey, listen, man. If you leave right now, you can go home and get some food. You could be in bed at your normal time of like 3 in.the.morning. You could crash out at 3 o'clock, be up at 10 a.m. It's your first night back. You fucking didn't see that straight you had earlier. You couldn't multiply 4 times 3. Maybe what would be good is post a good win. I mean, this is for being kind of fucked up, for like being in brain fog and not feeling your best. Like, it's a pretty nice little win here. Why don't we get out of here? And the other side of it was, but yeah, man, but you're so out of practice. Don't you want to put in some time? And you are doing really well. Since you know you're kind of full of brain fog, let's just really concentrate. Let's be super present, and let's just really take our time. Let's just don't do anything fast. We'll take a while before we place a bet. Let's just take us. What do you give a fuck if it takes you 30 seconds to multiply 4 times 3? Like, just you do you, man. So I was like, all right, let's fucking do that, right? So the D-Gen side won, the devil won. Ever since you mentioned smoking too much pot, I got to relight this. Thank you, THC Design, for the most incredible weed. And so, I decided to stay. But I'm getting hands that I should play. And I didn't play them. I started tightening way up. I stopped playing the way that was working. I was playing really aggressive and really balanced. I was 3-betting with a good range of hands. You know, hands that normally I wouldn't have 3-bet with in the past. Dub, you're 1,000% correct. I should have left as soon as I felt like I wasn't 100%. By the way, this game was soft as fuck. This was not a table full of great players. And so it was playing like a 1-2 game. And I was pushing the table around really well because first of all, they were like almost never seeing my hands. I was barreling a lot of turns and getting folds, and I was also making hands. So it was kind of crazy. Like, I was playing, like I said, like 3-betting things I normally wouldn't 3-bet, but then hitting the hand and then barreling and people folding and I didn't have to show hardly at all. And then I guess because I was doing well, and I told you I was playing like a pussy, I stopped playing that aggressive way. So I would get a hand like, well, I'll tell you the first one. And this sucks because I'm not going to be able to recall the action correctly. I'm going to do my best Dub style. Here's an example. Okay, before I get to that one, there were hands that I felt like I should have played, but I folded them instead, and every one of them ended up flopping a full house Dub style. Hardly ever flop a full house. This is not an exaggeration. I would have 9-10 suited. There'd be a raise and a re-raise ahead of me and 3 callers. And I would just go, I don't want any part of this, man. I don't want to be in this huge bloated pot with this suited connector. And I'd fold it. I'd fold my 9-10 suited or my 7-8 suited. And, the flop would come 7-7-8. It's one thing if you fold 7 deuce off suit and the flop comes 7-7 deuce. Okay, that happens. It's a different thing when you actually have tightened up so much that you're not playing playable hands when you're ahead, and then you're hitting them over and over and over. Now, the good news is when I did play, I fucking smashed the flop on those hands too. This was maybe the best run of cards I've ever had in my life. So in other words, I got pocket jacks and flop a set. I got pocket deuces, flopped a set. So the crazy thing was the hands I played were hitting and the ones I should have played were hitting. The ones I should have played, though, were monster fucking pots. And I had a monster hand. I should have been up probably with those hands, minimum a few $1,000s. These are big pots, $1,000 pots, Here's the one though. And this is pretty basic. And but I'm not positive. It's something I need to. I'm sure this is such a common spot. All I need to do is I need to look up. It's kind of funny. I've been studying so many advanced things with GTO and blockers and hand ranges that some of the fundamental stuff has gone out the window for me, like properly playing a flush draw. And I was like, wow, I feel like a guy who forgot how to do an arm bar, you know? It's like a brown belt who suddenly can't do an arm bar. So, speaking of which, tonight is going to be my first night of going to jiu-jitsu on time. I might even arrive fucking early. I probably will. I'll arrive early, stretch. Although tonight there's promotions, but I'm still going to be on time tonight. I'm going to be on time for everything from now on. My gigs, Busby's, jiu-jitsu. I'm going back to Mr. Early Times. I'm done. I'm putting my foot down with this tardiness. I don't feel tardy. So, thank you. This cast is going longer than I wanted it to because I got to make a tuna melt before I leave. I could eat soup instead, but I'd rather have a tuna melt. Okay, this is what happens. I get dealt Jack of clubs, Queen of clubs. I've got just over $900 in front of me. I'm up just over $400 at this point. Like I said, I was up to like $450 or something, but I saw some flops that didn't amount to anything. So I've lost about $50 or so. So at this point, I've got roughly a little over 400 in front of me. I mean, profit, but I've got basically $900 in front of me. Maybe $9.25, $9.50, maybe $9. I mean, somewhere there between $9 and $9.50. And I have the Jack Queen of clubs. I'm in late position. I 3-bet pre-flop. I believe I ended up with 2 callers. There was some dead money in there, so let's call the pot like $150. Let's say there's like $150 in there. The flop comes 3 low cards. 2 of them are clubs. So I have flopped a flush draw. Remember, I got the Jack Queen of clubs. So I have flopped a queen high flush draw and 2 overcards. That means 2 cards that are bigger than anything that's on board. I can't remember if these guys checked to me and I bet and they went all in. But I don't think so. I was in late position, so I don't think they checked to me. And so these 2 guys are both in early position. One of them's the scumbag I've played with for like 20 years. But he's not like a bad player. I mean, he's not good, though, either. He's kind of a mess. Both of these guys go all in. So, and I believe we all have about the same amount. I think the early position player had like, I don't know, maybe he had close to $600 or $700. And this guy, I think, had me covered. The next guy, the scumbag. I think he probably had like $1,200 or something like that. And so I basically have to decide, do I want to go all in on this draw? I've got the Jack Queen of clubs. There's 2 clubs on the flop, and I got overcards to the flop. I could theoretically hit my Jack or Queen and win. I mean, no, it wasn't. There was no straight on board. They were all low cards. It was like 7, 5, 3, and the 7 and 5. I mean, no, it wasn't. That would be straightening. It was like 7, 4, deuce with 2 clubs, something like that. There was no straight draw at all. There was no straight draw possible. Only the club draw. The only draw on board was the clubs. That was it. So just a flush draw. So people that do this, in this game, that guy that went all in probably has something like pocket aces or pocket kings, and he wants to protect his big pair by folding out a guy like me who's on a draw. Right? So, yeah, sorry, I got distracted here. My phone. I gotta really wrap this up soon. That's exactly right, Dub Style. Thank you. So, what are the odds if you know you're going to see both the turn and the river? Because I would be seeing both the turn and the river. I have 36% equity on the turn, 20% at the river, right? What is it in terms of odds? 9 outs is 4-1. Do you know how do you see? By the way, that's the other thing. I've got a great course on basic poker math. I have to review it because I can't remember how to convert a percentage back to a ratio. You know what I mean? Back to so 36%. I could look it up. It's there's a chart that tells you. Like I said, I know 9 outs is 4-1, but I don't know how to convert 4-1. Well, I guess 4-1 would be 25%. Is that right? Anyway, the point is, here was the factors I'm thinking. He probably has aces. Thank you. That's right. You multiply. Fuck. And I just reread it, Dub Style, last night, and I already forgot it again. I need to. I have I need a whole bunch of those to do, on paper. I need to just practice them. There's one on my website. There's a contact form, Uppercut Grandma. Just fill out the contact form at ZachWaldman.com. That's right, Dub Style. See, that's part of the ring rust. Normally, when I'm sitting at the table, I'll count outs and odds and stuff and do it like I'm quizzing myself so I can practice the math. But if I don't do the math, I forget how to do the math. By the way, that's just the way I am with everything. When I hardly was doing any magic during COVID, I booked a gig and I'm like, holy shit, I've done this trick a million times and I'm having a brain fart with this one move because I haven't performed it in 9 months. You know what I mean? So it's a use it or lose it thing for me. But anyway, I'm thinking I could hit the Jack or Queen and it's not going to be good enough against his aces or kings, which are the likely hands he's doing this with. Also, there's 2 players I got to beat. One of them I'm not worried about. The scumbag was the one. His all in was the one that I was like, ah, fuck. So the other thing was he could have ace king of clubs. He could be doing this as a bluff with equity running out, going, he could be thinking, well, I've got the nut flush draw and I could pair my ace or king and win. I could see this guy doing that. I just didn't see a world in where, like, I was afraid a club comes and I lose anyway because the third player in the hand's got the ace of clubs or the king of clubs or something. Maybe he played, king deuce of clubs or something. So I folded my hand. And, of course, the turn brought the club. I would have won like a $2,700 pot, and the scumbag had pocket kings. And the other guy turned over his cards, and I would have beat him, but I forget what he had. He's like, oh, you would have beat me. And I was like so disgusted I didn't even look at his cards. I already knew I beat him. I'm like, I already know you're fucking done. No, the other guy had some dog shit. The first guy that went all in, and maybe he had many fewer chips. Maybe that's why I wasn't worried about him. He may have. I think he went all in. That might be where my recalls fucked up. The under the gun player may have gone all in for like $220 or something. And I wasn't worried about him because, okay, I'll call this for that. But then it was the next dude that I played with forever that went all in and had me covered. He had like 1,300. And so it was like, I wasn't even worried about the first guy. And he ended up having some nonsense. I would have won. But so I let it go. I thought it was a good fold. Like I said, if I had the ace of clubs, it would have been different. But I was afraid I could hit the flush and still lose. And basically, then I just sat there, and after that, it kind of continued. Every hand I didn't play smashed the flop. And I was like, all right, dude. I checked in with myself again. I'm like, oh, and then I forget where. So anyway, I end up. Where did I end up losing a bunch of chips? I don't know. So I ended up playing like another hour and a half, and I was just involved in different pots. Nothing huge, but in that game, you bet a couple of $100 on a hand, and you end up folding or something on the turn. There's a lot of bet folding in that game. You bet on the turn, you get raised, you fold. And you do that a couple of times. And so next thing I know, I went from being up like 450 to being down 250. So now I only have $250 in chips with me. And I check back in with myself. I'm like, listen, you're annoyed that you didn't play hands you should have played. You're hungry. You don't feel great. You should have left early when I told you to and taken a small win instead of sitting here. But you learned a lot tonight, and you dusted off some of the ring rust. Let's go to the bar and get a cheeseburger. And that's what I did. I cashed out a $250 loser, went to the bar and got a double cheeseburger with fries. I paid $2 extra to have them sprinkle Parmesan on it, or not. It was Parmesan and garlic truffle. It was worth it. The hamburger was delicious. The French fries were worth the $2 extra. For the truffles. And I'm going to go play tonight. I'm going to go to jiu-jitsu tonight. And after class, I'm going to head over to the Commerce. I did just book a gig, by the way. They already signed the contract, paid the fee. So it looks like work is starting to come back just in the nicotine. No more unemployment benefits for me. So this is good. This is good news for me. And so that's it. I'm going to go play tonight. And I think I learned a lot from this last session. I Thank you, Deb Style. I learned, although I prefer you to tell me to break a leg, I am an artist after all. Even at the poker table, all the world is a stage. We didn't talk about some other things I had planned, but I got to go. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I got them up here. I mean, there wasn't... Yeah, I got to go. But, yeah, I felt like even though I ended up leaving a loser, I think the extra hours helped me shake it off. So I don't have brain fog tonight. I'm not going to play scared tonight for sure. If I had just not played like such a wimp, I would have had a winning session. And I started out not playing like a wimp. If I had kept that up and then left early, it would have psychologically been good to think like, whew, good you left, good you posted a small win, but you didn't see you had a straight and you were brain foggy and you were overwhelmed with info. So let's take a step back, brother. That would have been better. But, yeah, I think folding the Jack-Queen flush draw when it's not to the nuts and you're likely up against, like you said, trips. I thought trips for sure from the first guy. But again, he had a small amount of money, I think. So he might have done that with like tens. You know what I mean? He didn't have trips. But yeah, it was trips and two big cards. Yeah, but I'll give you a trip report tomorrow is the point. And I will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I actually had show prep. We didn't get to all of it, but we got the concentration camp joke, and that was good. You go broke calling all-ins with flush draws. Don't let hindsight beat you up. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Well, okay, that was a positive note, is that never before in a poker game, because, you know, I haven't played since I've been practicing mindfulness, and I did better than ever before in terms of not letting a mistake, like, dwelling on it. Like, when I made that straight and ended up winning the pot, and I was as surprised as everybody else that I won, it's like, normally I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How did you not see you had a straight? This time I was like, that was in the past. Slow down. Stay in the present. And I just let it go. So that's the one thing. The mindfulness practice helped tremendously in terms of letting the past go. You got to cover Brendan Schaub and Ariel Helwani feud this week. Yeah, it is pretty funny. I don't really like either one of those guys. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Dub style. Flush draw with a pair much better. Yeah, it's... Listen, again, at that 5-5 game, people don't bluff nearly enough. So if you make like a big turn bet and they raise you, you better have something that can beat a very narrow range of hands. And so it's like, well, you know, but if I had made the call, it would have might have reinforced a bad habit anyway. I was a member of Upswing Poker, and I'm grandfathered in at a lower monthly rate. I may rejoin it and review the courses there because that shit helped a lot. Upswing Poker is a great coaching site. Oh, I didn't know Ariel Helwani was a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Look, I mean, I'm sure they're both fine guys. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of either one of them. They both kind of annoy me, but whatever. I'm sure just hanging out with them is cool. I just mean they're public personas. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out, Rudy. And Lizzie. Have a beautiful evening. I'll see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to play you out, as I always do, with the good Reverend Carl. And don't forget it. What? Don't forget. Brendan got his black belt May of 2021. Hey, man, I've been at it 14 years. I'm still a brown belt. I've only been brown belt for a couple of years, man. And it's, I'm hoping that I bet there'll be some, there's promotions tonight. Matter of fact, somebody telling me, hey, the promotions are tonight. I'm like, of course I'm going to be there for the promotions. So I won't be surprised if some friends of mine get their black belts tonight. It won't be me. I got a ways to go. I got to show up to class on time. But promotions is always a fun night. But I'm going to go to there and then Commerce afterwards. And that's it. I love you all more than chocolate cake. Here's Reverend Carl.
It's 2 a.m., 14 below, it's closed. My work is done, but I'm feeling low, and I wanna play the night away, the night away. I can't stand to be alone. I gotta bring over some people to fill up my empty home. Yes, I do, yes, I do now. I'm having a party, having a party, having a party, I'm having a party. People and a party people, well, well, well. Put out the word to the chosen few. I got the SMC, my friends, bring your choice of brews, your choice of brews. The buzz is on and the mood is set. The candles burn as the turntables turn by the TV set. Yes, they do, yes, they do now. Smooth, while in the mirror he's busting moves till he finds his groove, till he finds his groove. A Johnny Poet is feeling numb. He's gonna drink until the sunlight comes out to play. He's always running away. Where are your shoes today now? Having a party, having a party, having a party, we having a party. He's been drinking them 21s like they're going out of style. A jungleberry is scabbing tails. He'll smoke all the weed you have if you let him away with it. I let him away with it. I let him away with it. Away with it. Away with it now. Having a party. Having a party. Having a party. We having a party, people. And a party, people. dressed in plain. He'd like to bop the night away, cause he's come a long way from that Ventura County. Girly girl by the telephone, she's been waiting on a man to call so she can share her love.